actually advertised, and probably unwittingly, but here it is. They are trying to stimulate an understanding of the alternative scene amongst Cypriots. This is supposedly done by creating working relationships with the creative scene in Europe so that the standard here in Cyprus can be raised. It overlooks the fact that the logo and its interpretation might seem exotic. It might even seem exotic to European and American viewers, if only because it's amazing that something like that has been produced in the 21st century to popular acclaim. So, how else is it that there's... that took place, and these examples of regional diversity are taking place both in the north and south of the island. This one was a show that went on for a year. It ended last summer at the Nicosia Municipal Arts Center. This is a partial list. This is half the artists that participated in the show. The artists were invited by the curator Yanis Toumadzis and by the curatorial collective Re Aphrodite. Selections were based on various artistic responses to the monetary crisis, and they came from Cyprus, Greece, Turkey, Israel, Egypt, Lebanon, Bulgaria, and elsewhere. The show was funded by the EU, so at that time the financial crisis was only impending, and most of the artists were able to be present for the opening. So we didn't just send artwork, we could trade contacts, we got to know each other. Importantly, the show was able to deal with diversity on many levels, but without highlighting it as a goal. This is desirable. This is kind of what we want to do. About 50 artists were represented using a similarly diverse breadth of expression. So there was also video and sound, drawing, painting, photography, installation, sculpture, and more. At least in the South, generally, galleries reflect the same ethno-national situation. If anything, names are anything to go by, then the majority of Greek Cypriot galleries list mostly Greek names and surnames in their stable of artists.
It's so sweet, the sweetest sound, you can never lock it down. We're living in dread times. Daylight rappers never pay for their crimes. Innocent ones always suffering. Them come back and take everything. They rape my country and they rub it to the core. We see things that we never seen before, and I know that our time will come. Rise up my people under just sun. It's a boys are massive. Reggae full of culture. Feel the drum and feel the bass. I just icing up the place. See a rock a spade show by a river festival. Cause reggae it's so sweet. Sweet the sound, anti-mic, tell them again. Jamaicans them originate. Everybody appreciate. Read about a national. Many rise the sound before. Cause reggae so sweet. Tell them anti-mic, reggae #1. It's the #1.
Mr. Karayani talks about this necessity of moving away from master narratives for him and speaking more about the personal narrative. Do you think that the Cypriot poetry, both for Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots, moves away from master narratives, or do their personal narratives get subsumed by the master narrative? Do they move away from it, or not?
No, what I think is that in contemporary poetry, it is true that poetry moves toward a personal personal mythology, let's say, a personal understanding of things, a personal conception of history, mythology, and what happened, what is happening. I believe if we go carefully to poetry, we will see that this change, I said, from history to geography, from geography to personal approach.
And also, if I could, because I also read this poetry, I think that sometimes, Marilena, it's a question of negotiating with the master narrative, speaking to it, speaking away from it, and so on. So it's woven in and out sometimes, yeah. And other times I read the poetry of Turkish, Greek Cypriots, and I see that they simply can't get away from it. They're speaking from within it. And that troubles me a little bit, so, because I want to look for different things. But also, if I could, since I have the floor again, for just very, very quickly, I'm also troubled by often the way that we look at this binary, Greek, Turkish, Cypriot. We also have a Maronite community that writes. We have an Armenian community that writes. We have an international community in Cyprus that writes for many days. And I think that if we move away from this polarization a little bit, it might actually might allow us new avenues of understanding Cyprus.
No, no, no. I do anything you say, but cause if you ask me,
This obviously stifles difference and leaves very little room for anyone playing non-Greek music to be on the air. From my wealthy experience of being on the air, this has always meant any radio show I've done has been on 9 to 12 at night, or even after that in the graveyard shift, which is what we call after midnight. And this means that difference institutionally on all the radio formats has been excluded. Because the main format is Greek chart music or English pop music in some cases on some stations. There are some exceptions, of course, to this. There are some exceptions because I think what happens is when radio becomes so stale, a lot of people turn to the clubs or turn to their own music scene to find what they're looking for. A lot of people also turn to the internet now to find what they're looking for. I don't listen to Cypriot stations, I listen to stations from all parts of the world. And different music scenes have existed in Cyprus for some time, at least since the early 1980s. And these really have developed a life of their own, albeit very dubious, as Elizabeth rightly pointed out. And I think they should be called Cypriot belong Republic.
Yeah, I mean...
And self-sustaining networks of their own.
I'll do anything you say, boy. Cause if you ask me, baby, I'll do anything you say, boy.
Azungu zungu kuzungu nze.
Booyaka!